Coming to you from the Penguin Air Plumbing and Electrical Studios, we are your hosts Will Howlett and Wade Rusk, and this is the Penguin Pro Show. The Penguin Pro Show is an informative podcast talking about air conditioning, heating, plumbing, and electrical systems in the home. Each week we'll bring on a panel of professionals to educate listeners on different topics related to these systems. Well, Wade, today's show, episode 4, we're getting a lot better at this. I feel like it. I don't know about you.
I think so.
It's not the easiest thing for you and I to do all the time, but it's something we want to break through and try to get better at. But today's an exciting show. It's something we've done for many years. Before we even started Penguin, we were selling AC units, and it's something that all of us in this room have experience with, about 80 years of experience. So excited to talk about today. We probably could go on for hours and hours about this, but let's go ahead and why don't you introduce Jeff to the show?
Will do. Thank you very much, and good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah, this is our passion, right? This is basically what we started the company doing, is selling and installing quality home comfort systems. So we're joined by our comfort consultant, Jeff, this morning. Grateful to have you.
Thank you.
I feel like you're the best in the industry. And our general manager, Jay Klein.
Good morning.
Morning. So, Jeff, today, just tell us a little bit about your job and how the landscape has changed a little bit due to COVID. But whatever you want. We have a few questions, but don't necessarily need to go strictly off these questions.
Mm-hmm.
Just what you think is important and of value to the homeowners listening. So,
Sure.
The first question I'll ask you, though, is when should you start thinking of replacing your system?
Well, first and foremost, thank you for having me on. It's just a pleasure. One of the things that I really enjoy working for Penguin is the people, the relationships that you guys have built, and you can see that throughout the office. And I just really thoroughly enjoy that, and that kind of translates into what I do, because I think what I do is really about relationship. And you'd asked the question about when should people start thinking about replacing their system, and it's a couple of factors. One, it's age. As the system gets a little older, you need to start having that on the forefront of your mind of when to replace it. You can look for things like different noises. If it's starting to make funny noises and you're starting to hear different sounds, that may be indicators that something's about to happen or the system's going to break down. You can also look at spikes in your electrical bill. Maybe the system's just not working as efficient as it was when it was installed, and and then also the comfort in your home. It's really interesting. I think, and you and I were talking earlier this morning, that air conditioning here in the Valley, people accept a lot, and they take it for granted that you can install a system and it can be poor. You can have poor ductwork, and people just live with it, and they just kind of brush it aside. And what I like about my job is I feel like I can make a difference. And I think even at Penguin Air, I feel like we can make a difference, and that's what separates us from some of the other companies.
Sure, it's not just a sale for you, I've noticed. We get raving reviews on the service you provide and the education you provide the homeowner as well. So that's awesome. Let's talk a little bit about Jeff first. I wish we'd done that first. You're a painter. You have a lot of skills. Just go ahead and tell us a little bit about your personal life.
So actually, yes, I actually went to the Art Institute of Pittsburgh. Graduated there with a degree, was a graphic artist for several years. However, being isolated behind a computer, I really liked working with my hands and getting out and meeting people. So I went through a 5-year apprenticeship to become a licensed HVAC journeyman, and I was a licensed tech. We moved here from Ohio in 2010. I came here as a technician, and about 2 years later, I moved into the consultant role. I got certified through the Building Performance Institute to do home energy audits, which looks at the home just more so than just the AC system. You're looking at the entire envelope. You're looking at windows, insulation, different aspects that make the home a little bit more energy efficient. And I've been doing that ever since, and I love it. I love meeting people, the different stories that you get a chance to experience and share with the customers throughout the Valley.
Yeah, I think that's what we all have in common. We talked about that in our first episode. Wade and I talked about how we love the industry and getting out and talking to people, and it's something different every day, right? And I actually kind of miss getting out there. Jeff reminds me a lot of myself and what we did in before Penguin, and he's a great relationship guy, and we really appreciate what you provide to the Penguin family, and that you do truly care. So I know that the industry is changing quite a bit with COVID. Wade kind of brought that up at the beginning. Kind of talk about what's going on in the industry with COVID. You're out in the homes now, trying to, educate people on a new system.
One of the things that I've noticed lately because of the masks, you really kind of lose a little bit of the personal touch. And I remember back when I was first approached about getting into sales, I thought, no, because everybody has this used car salesman, image in their mind, sleazy. They don't have the customer's best interest at heart. They're only looking out for their own wallet. And I didn't want to be a part of that. But I really felt like I could actually make a difference. I could get out there and actually meet the customers, find out what their needs were. And, I sleep really well at night. I know that everything I do, I try to take care of. I always look at three things. I want to make sure that the customer wins. I want to make sure that the company wins. And in the end, that means that I'll win. And with COVID, it's a challenge because of the masks and because kind of some of the social distancing. It's almost, there's almost like a wall between you and the customer now. And it's a challenge to actually kind of build that rapport and build that relationship where it's not just a strict business transaction.
Yeah, that'd be tough. But you're doing a good job. Like Wade said, we get a lot of great reviews. And
thank you.
What I was telling Jeff when he walked in my office this morning, and we got to talk a little bit about what it looks like out there and stuff. And if there's a silver lining, it's that everybody's going through the exact same thing. So it's not just Jeff, not just Penguin. All the other companies that, homeowners are getting multiple estimates, they're all going through the same thing. But, from what I've noticed is there's no better person than Jeff at developing relationships with a mask or without a mask. So I think he has a huge advantage.
I think so too.
A lot of these guys are in there just to make a quick sale, and homeowners are pretty savvy these days and see right through that.
Well, I think one of the big things too that we have to worry about with COVID now is a lot of people are looking to do the sales online. Buying an air conditioner online. Let me look at that stuff online where, like Jeff mentioned at the very beginning, it's not just buying a product online. It's not like you're buying shampoo or something online and ordering it in. There's so much more to it to get a comfort system in your home. So many people are living with issues that they think are, my office is always warm or my master bedroom is always warm, and they just think that's the way it is. But we can fix a lot of that stuff for them, but the biggest part of that is you got to get somebody like Jeff who's educated, who knows how to fix those issues, who knows how to correct those, and he can get into the home and actually create and design a good comfort system. It's not just installing a box that blows hot and cold air. It's creating a really good comfort, enjoyable living space in your home.
That's a great point, Jay.
Well, and you might get a guy that comes in who's not as educated, not as informed, not as experienced, hasn't been in the industry as long, and just doesn't have the care factor. That'll tell you, oh, it's the best brand in the world, or it's the most efficient system, or we have the best price, or whatever. But at the end of the day, it's the quality of the installation, the work that's being done that can make all the difference in the world, right? There's a lot of factors that go into play. So,
absolutely.
And I guess we all want to talk because we all have experience in this.
Yeah, we all like this this stuff. So
I always look at three things when I walk into a home, and the first one is application. Every home is different in how it was built. How the ductwork is installed. Is it a drop soffit in the hallway? Is it, branches coming out in the attic? We got to make sure it's the right size and it's the right application. So many salesmen in the business don't have the background. They don't understand the technical issues as far as airflow and pressure. They're out there selling a number. But we look at the application. We need to make sure that's the best application, the best fit for the home and what the customer is trying to achieve. And then it's the installation like you mentioned. Unlike a refrigerator or a washer and dryer that you just unbox it and you plug it in, your system's going to be assembled in the home. And so the installation is critical. Even speaking further, we talked about this morning, because it is a retrofit application, sometimes issues arise, and you have to address those on the spot. And you have to have a team that has great communication and is willing to address those issues when they arise. So that's part of it. And then the third one is maintenance. The system has to be maintained properly, and If you can achieve those three things, you're going to have a very happy customer. You're going to have a system that's, running efficient and running for a long time.
Can you be more specific for the homeowners and anybody listening as to what can make or break an install in regards to charging, evacuation, the brazing, the duct work, the bigger returns so the airflow is correct with these new high speed fan motors or variable speed fan motors? They don't know that.
They don't. And it's interesting. I think
You don't have to get too technical, but just some of the basics.
The installation is so critical in that not only does it have to look good, from a homeowner's perspective, they're going to look at and make sure that it's level, that there isn't wires hanging all over the place. That's what they see. But there's a lot that goes into it as far as evacuating the system properly, obviously for the EPA and for the environment, making sure that, you're protecting that. Making sure that the tools that the installers use are maintenance properly. Because it's interesting. I've only been here for 10 years, but there are so many, and all of us could probably tell horror stories of when they've seen other companies and the practices that they use or don't use. They're
To
gonna
make the install easier,
exactly
faster.
exactly, and that goes back to, I think, even so many people are just so price conscious, and that's a big factor. But I really take pride in the fact that we're not going to be the lowest cost, and it's not because we're trying to make more money. It's because we're trying to do it the right way. And in order to do a correct install, to pull the proper vacuum, to blow nitrogen through when you're brazing, and all of these things contribute to the life of that system and how well it's going to perform. Are the ducts sealed? Are they hung properly? So many times we go into an attic and it looks like the ductwork is just strung all over, and there's kinks, and there's poor airflow in the house, and nobody addresses it. It's like Jay said, they just want to change out a box. They want to collect their check, and they want to get out of there as fast as possible. And the other aspect that I think that we bring as a company is the people behind the scenes, the people that are customer service, the dispatchers. It's all communication across the board. Again, if something does happen, you have to have the resources to be able to make the correction, and not just, oops, we're sorry, we'll get back to you. No, we're going to take care of that and take care of it immediately, so you're not uncomfortable for a while, or you're not having to deal with an issue.
Yeah, they're bumped ahead of the line. They're made a priority.
Correct.
They have to be. I mean, it's a warranty-related issue if there is one.
Yeah, and that's what you get with companies like ourselves, right? So
Correct.
24-hour service, 7 days a week. Things can go wrong, right? These are machines that have motors that can go bad, just like anything else that have a motor. So we will be there for them, and I'm glad you brought that up. That brings a lot of value to the type of company you choose. And again, we're selling comfort. We're not just selling a box.
Yeah.
And I always, when I was with customers, I would talk to them about these different comfort systems, not just a system that blows hot and cold air.
Yep.
And they'd be like, nobody's talked to me about this.
Yeah.
The majority of them don't get educated in all the information. All they see is that bottom line number, that price, right? And that's where we come in, and we really educate the customer, consult the customer, put all those different hats on, and then show them, what we can do to provide a good quality install that's going to last for another 15 plus years, right? That's what we want to get out of that system. So I'm glad you brought that up. I know that, with Penguin, we really talk about a lot of training. Can you talk about the training that we do for the installs that we do here in house?
Correct. We go through regular training for our installers. We actually have a field supervisor that will actually, and it's interesting, I tell customers all the time that when we bring a team out to your home, and one of the things I believe in, just myself personally, is being very transparent and being authentic. We're going to have a lead installer that's been trained, meaning he's gone through all of the processes. He knows the protocols. He knows the best practices in the industry. He's going to lead the team, but there's usually always going to be a helper involved. That helper, and that's part of the training process, is you bring this helper up, and I think you guys had Jimmy on 2 weeks ago, and he's a great example. He started, as a helper running parts, and then he became a helper on an install. And then as he learned and was trained, and now he is one of our best technicians, and that training process is invaluable because so many people hire people for the summer just because they have the work. They don't care about the quality. They just want to make sure they get all these boxes installed, and then when the summer's over, they lay them off. And we don't have that mentality here. We're a family. Again, I take a lot of pride in Penguin. I take a lot of pride in who we are. With 80 employees, we pay benefits. We have retirement. This morning we had a breakfast for our service techs, and we did role playing. Continuing that training and just making sure that when we go out to a customer's home, we're providing the best value. And it's what's stressed the most in our training is it's customer, and it's taking care of the customer. It's not what's in the best interest for me as an employee. It's what's in the best interest for the customer. And I respect that, and I love that about Penguin.
Yeah, I love that too. I just one more thing. I remember when I was selling AC units, and I pulled up into a neighborhood, and another home was getting an install done, right? And
cool story, bro.
This guy in a truck, right? This is a cool story. These are the things that are out there that's going on. They were spray painting the drain pan that was all rusty, okay, with silver paint. So that pan is going to eventually just keep rusting and leak, and they're going to have a huge problem in the home.
Yeah, last I checked, paint doesn't stop leaks.
No. And these are the things that customers don't know what goes into an install, right? The plenums, which are the mixing boxes for the airflow, the drain pans, all the wiring, the things that we do that keep that system lasting a long time. So they got to be real careful. There's a lot of pitfalls out there, right? So I don't know what you've experienced or seen, but I'm sure you've seen a lot like us. So
no, in fact, one of the things I would tell any listeners or any of our customers is when you have a professional out to your home, have them prove it. When I'm in a home, I go up in the attic, I take pictures, I take video, so I can actually show the customer when I recommend something, or if I say, hey, there's an issue with this, I can show them. Don't just take my word for it. And not only that, when our installers go out there, our technicians go out there and they find an issue, they take a video of it, they take a picture of it, they prove it. Unfortunately, we live in a this day and age that you just can't take somebody's word any longer. So prove it. And I think as a professional company, I think that's very important. And interestingly enough, you talked about some of the pitfalls, but so many people go online to get a price, or they try to buy a system online, and they believe everything on the internet, because we all know everything on the internet is true, right?
yeah.
My doctor is on the internet. He's called Dr. Google.
That's right. And he knows all.
Have you heard of him?
Yeah. You can believe everything that's on the internet.
He heals me every time.
That's right. But that I see so many.
My vet's on the internet too.
So many customers go online, and they'll, I'll call them back or follow back up, and they're like, I read this online. So I think it's really important to educate customers on what the truth is. And we live in Arizona, and it's just the unique climate. And, coming from Ohio, the AC systems, the furnaces there are completely different. Again, going back to application, but again, the 80 years experience in here, so many customers, I walk in, I want a SEER rating. And then why a SEER rating? What's so important about the SEER rating? What about the EER rating? Because our systems are going to do a lot, or more important, looking at the EER rating, because our systems turn on and they run longer. The SEER rating is really more for start and stop, and we don't want that. We want the EER. We want the system to be running longer over a longer period of time to give you greater comfort. But they go online, and there's just so many experts online that are going to tell you what you need to hear.
One of my favorites, sorry, Jay, favorites are, I want this brand, I got to have this brand. And what a lot of homeowners don't understand is the majority of the heating and cooling systems out there are made with the same components. Emerson motors, Copeland compressors, it's all the same. So they should probably look at more who's doing the work, and because there's hundreds of new companies every month, guys who just I can go do this. They worked for somebody else, they get a license because they're technical, they can go do this, but they don't have necessarily the support system to provide the service that's required with an expensive investment like this. But yeah, so the brand's fairly irrelevant. You want to look at the warranty and the company that's doing the work.
That's a good point. I remember when somebody told me it's like 90% was install, 10% was brand. I think it's 100%.
And they learn about the brand from
It's
the
gotta
guys
be.
who come in and say, you've got to have this brand.
Yeah.
These guys that come in and sell on a brand because they're getting some sort of
Kickback.
incentive
Yeah.
from that manufacturer or distributor to sell that brand. So then put that in. So when the homeowners are getting 3 and more bids, it starts getting very complicated, I think.
Mhm. They get really
And I
confused.
guarantee if you called because we talk to our tech support guys with the different manufacturers all the time, Goodman, Trane, Carrier. If you talk to any of them, they'll all tell you all issues with the equipment is install. It was installed improperly. Those are the ongoing issues they have with equipment. Has nothing to do with their unit itself. It's the detriment of the install done improperly right when they start. And like I said, Wade, those companies, 100 of them popping up all the time. And how many calls do we get in the summer because, this, company XYZ installed an air conditioner last year and now they're either out of business, we can't get a hold of them. So now this poor customer's having to pay out of pocket on a brand new unit that should be under warranty for us to go out and actually fix and do it properly, because they tried to save a couple $100, last year.
Mm-hmm.
Correct, and I think that's you said that thing that people forget is they can do a poor install and it'll work.
Yep.
You can put a spare tire on, with those little donuts, and your car's still going to drive. So they get away with it. They get away with it because we're so used to the hot rooms and the high utility bills that, it was broken, and now it's running, and I'm happy. And what they don't understand is they're absorbing higher costs. Their home's more uncomfortable. Maybe they're
Shortening the life.
Yeah, they're inhaling attic dust because it's not sealed. All these things that these companies just, it's a dirty business, unfortunately, here in the Valley because of that. These companies that just pop up and they have no accountability whatsoever.
Yeah, and just like that donut, right? You can put the donut on, you can drive, but 100 miles down the freeway,
That's
you're
right.
going to have another blowout with that donut, right? And the same thing with an air conditioner. It'll work for the first year, 2 years,
Yep.
but try and get 10, 20 years out of it that you want to get. You're not going to do that with that, poor install.
Correct. And then, like you said, you try to call them and they're gone.
Yep.
They're out of business. Or, we can get to that in 3-4 days.
Yep.
Another thing is if you buy, as a lot of people reference, a high efficiency system as a Cadillac or whatever, if you buy this high end system, spend 10 grand, but they don't address the airflow, they don't charge it properly.
You're buying.
They're not using
just
the
a cheap
right
system.
size refrigerant line. Your utility bill, the efficiency's not there
Correct.
at all. So what was the point?
Right. It's a good point. I mean, like you said, it.
Now that everybody's scared to death, make sure you call Penguin for your
I know,
install.
right?
That's funny.
We will take care of the whole system, not just the box. That is true, very true. And people don't have to live like that. They don't have to live with, a lot of dust in the home from leaky ducts. They don't have to live with hot rooms, during the summer, cold rooms during the winter. They don't have to, and they think that a new system is going to solve that. It's not. That's just a little part of the equation. So, what else goes into replacing a system? What else are we looking at when we're installing the system that day?
When we're the installation is going to usually be a day. It's a long process. Again, we're not trying to get in there and get out real fast. But we're going to take a look at, again, how the ducts are connected. And that's part of my job. And that goes back to the beginning. The evaluation is critical. And I would just share this because there's still people that do this. But if you have somebody out to your home and they don't go in your attic when you're replacing your AC system, please do us a favor. You don't have to choose us. Just don't choose them because they do not have your best interest.
That's
at heart.
lazy, right?
It is.
That's the lazy contractor.
Absolutely. You have to understand what your ductwork is, what the airflow is. If you can't see that, you don't know what the right application is.
That brings up a good point because I remember if I
Can I
went
tell
in
a
the
story
attic.
real quick?
Yeah, real quick. When I went in the attic, they'd be like, "Well, you're the only one that went in the attic. Why?" And I would tell them that, well, because I'm not lazy and I'm going to look at everything, not just the system. So.
Not all salesmen or comfort consultants have the technical background, the install background. Heck, a lot of them might have been a restaurant server or a car salesman or whatever. The majority of us have a technical background, been in the industry long enough, but I got to share this story. It's kind of funny. I remember working for a competitor, and we're all out at breakfast one morning having a nice big breakfast, and one of my peers, another company advisor, went out to this job, but for some reason the homeowner didn't buy from him. I came in, and they ended up buying from me. So we're talking about this situation of breakfast, and this particular comfort consultant was a little more versed in airflow than me.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, you didn't upgrade the return air? You didn't put a bigger return ductwork on that system? And he lectured me for about 5 minutes. But this was a big established company. I was able to call dispatch right then and there and say, hey, make sure you put a bigger return in that system for me right now.
That's funny.
I was like, thank you.
Thanks for the education.
Thanks for the tip.
Well, is there anything else you guys want to share? Or?
I think the only thing I would say is just make sure, if you're looking at, like Jeff said, if it's starting to get to the point where you think you might need to replace your system, get somebody like Jeff out there just to at least give you an idea, start giving you quotes, start giving you options, so that when the time does come, you know what you want to put in. Instead of having it break in the middle of the summer and you're at the mercy of whoever, answers the phone and can get that system installed for you tomorrow. You end up going with the wrong company, the wrong unit, the wrong options. So at least do your homework now. Get ready so that if that ever happens, you just pick up the phone, hey, Jeff or whoever you pick, let's go with this option. We talked about this. Unit died. Let's get it in.
Mm-hmm.
I have another very important thing that comes up a lot. I want to buy it now because it's more expensive in the summer.
Mm-hmm.
Is that true?
No.
It's not. We're so busy in the summer that they're going to wait. They're certainly going to wait longer for the install, but it's not more expensive. But they will wait longer, and it's not as pleasant of an install because you've got to probably be without AC for a day, right, in your house. Mm-hmm. But there's often incentives to do it throughout the year. So just keep an eye on those incentives, be it through the manufacturer, the utility companies.
There's rebates.
We offer rebates on occasion just to get a lift in our
Mm-hmm.
business in the slower seasons.
Well, there's always that old adage, right? The AC system is going to decide to be replaced in two ways: when the customer decides to replace it, or when it decides to die. So some of the value of replacing it now versus the summer is they can be proactive and choose. Like you said, instead of waiting until the summer when it does die, you're scrambling. Because everybody's going to be very busy.
And we are going into the proactive season.
I just wanted to
March,
throw that
April,
out there.
May.
Yeah.
It's not like people are like, oh, the demand's up, we're going to charge you so much more for your unit. Like our price book never changes.
No, we have the price book and it's set. So take advantage of, if they are thinking about it right now, take advantage of this proactive season before it gets hot, and then you're out. Sometimes we can be out a couple days. We take care of those customers in different ways as well if we have to. But Jeff can come out, do kind of repair versus replace.
Absolutely.
Which is a great way to see not just, what a system is costing them right now, but to see what that system is going to cost them 3-5 years down the road.
Right.
You might be paying for that new system already. And so might as well take advantage of the savings now. So.
And your advice comes at a pretty hefty price, right? Like this estimate's $250, but you'll take it off the price of the unit when they buy it.
No, it's absolutely free.
The knowledge, the consulting.
Nope, and I don't.
Fee.
There's no time frame. Maybe I love talking to people, so it's an absolutely free assessment, free evaluation, and again, I go over every option that I feel fits the application. There have been times where I've had to walk away and say, we will not offer that. We will not match that, or we won't do that. And the last thing I would say is just be cautious. I know that for the homeowners out there, I know we kind of talked. I don't want to scare anybody with some of the pitfalls and everything today, but everybody that I talk to a lot of times says I'm price shopping, and unfortunately, you kind of do get what you pay for. People that are going to lower their price, they're going to find a way to make that back. They're going to cut a corner.
It's not buying a car; it's a service.
Correct.
It's like a roof. You can get it done the right way, spend a little more. Get it done the wrong way, and continue to have leaks when it rains. So But cars, shop it around.
Yep.
But this is totally different.
It is.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
is.
So great show. We went over a little bit, but we could go on for hours and hours, I think, about on this subject. So
We should have part 2 next time.
we should do part 2 replacement. So thanks for coming on, guys, and
Thanks.
sharing your expertise with our listeners. You guys are true Penguin pros, so really appreciate you guys coming on. So go ahead and leave comments below, or any questions you might have about the home and the systems in your home, and maybe we'll do a show on those questions that you have. But appreciate you listening in, and we'll talk to you next week.